Hello and welcome to Health in Capsule. This video is dedicated to women's health and I will be giving you an overview of what constitutes abnormal uterine bleeding or abnormal menstruation as is known to the public. Now, to define what is abnormal menstrual bleeding, we need to define what is a normal menstrual bleeding. It's very important for us to know that normal menstrual bleeding is not a set standard. In other words, a woman can be having her periods once every 26 to 28 days, lasting for about 2 or 3 days, and this might be the normal for her. For someone else, having periods once in 34 to 36 days and lasting for about 5 to 6 days may be the normal. Therefore, to know what is abnormal, we must first define what is normal to our own selves. It's wrong that if you compare your bleeding with someone else. I have many patients who come and tell me that I've always been having this bleeding lasting only for about 2 days and it comes once in 25 to 26 days. If there are no other problems with issues with fertility or anything like that, then that is the normal for that woman. So, in order to know what is normal, we should first define what is the normal for our own cells. For example, if somebody has been having her periods once every, say, 28 to 30 days and lasting for 4 to 5 days, and suddenly the period either becomes very heavy, lasting for about 6 to 8 days, or it becomes more frequent, that is coming once in 15 to 20 days, then that is an abnormal period. So again, I'm stressing to know what is the normal, what is the abnormal, you need to know what is your normal period, number one. The second thing is the abnormalities of your periods can be with the flow, can be with the duration, or it can be with the cycle length. So the normal cycle length, what we think is normal, is between 26 to 34 or 35 days. So if you're having your periods once in 31, 32 days regularly, then even that is your normal periods. And often the periods last for about 4 or 5 or even 6 days in some people. So this is the definition of a normal cycle length. That is, it may be 26 to 35 days. So if you're bleeding once in 15 days, 17 days, 20 days, it's not normal. And even if you have prolonged cycle length, maybe 45, 50, 60 days, that also is an abnormality. Then there could be abnormalities in the flow. So the flow may be very heavy. You may be passing clots, so which is also abnormal. And the periods may be prolonged. So you may have spotting. That is, you may have little bleeding for about 3-4 days, then followed by heavy bleeding, and then again spotting. So anything that is beyond 6 or 7 days, prolonged period, whether it is spotting or whether it is heavy bleeding, also constitutes abnormal menstruation. So after having defined this, let me give you a brief overview of what are the causes of abnormal menstruation. Now let me tell you about the causes of abnormal menstruation very broadly. This is the diagram of the uterus along with 2 tubes and 2 ovaries. This is the mouth of the uterus known as the cervix, and this is the vagina. Now every month, because of the action of the hormones, this is the endometrium or the lining of the uterus that gradually starts becoming thicker. And then towards the end of the menstrual cycle, because of the withdrawal of the hormones, the whole endometrium gets shed as the menstrual flow. But there's still a basal layer, and again in the next cycle this endometrium starts getting thicker. So obviously one of the most important and foremost causes of abnormal bleeding could be related to the endometrium. The second cause is related to the muscle of the uterus, that what is known as the myometrium. So there may be some tumors, benign tumors, what we say, called the fibroids, which are responsible for excessive bleeding. And also sometimes the entire uterus becomes very thick. The musculature of the uterus becomes very thick, and this condition is known as adenomyosis, and this can also cause heavy bleeding. And then the abnormalities of the cervix, which is the mouth of the uterus, there could be an erosion, there could be an ulcer, there could be a cancerous growth, whatever. This also can be the cause of bleeding. And then these are the ovaries. So the ovaries, any abnormal lump or cyst or tumors of the ovaries can also cause abnormalities of the bleeding. And then sometimes the whole thing, that is the uterus and the tubes, can get infected or inflamed, in which condition we call it as pelvic inflammatory disease. So that also can cause irregular bleeding associated with pain. And then we should not, of course, forget the hormones, especially the thyroid hormone. Either hypo or hyperthyroidism can cause abnormal bleeding, and abnormalities of the pituitary gland and also the adrenal glands are also minor causes of excessive or abnormal uterine bleeding. And finally, here we have the vagina. So any polyp or any mass or lump in the vagina can also cause bleeding. So we need to know that the end point of many of these is the bleeding, is the effect on the endometrium, and therefore the shedding of the endometrium that comes out as the menstrual flow. This is in short the various causes why there could be an abnormal bleeding. So now it is obvious that the causes of abnormal menstrual bleeding can be any of these. Similarly, it's not a set thing that the cause of bleeding is the same for all ages. In the sense, a woman's reproductive life or the menstrual life starts from the time she attains menarche or has a first period to the time she has her last period, that is the menopause. So in this, for convenience sake, we divide it into adolescent period. That is, after they mature, after girls mature, though they have bleeding, the what we say the hypothalamo pituitary ovarian and uterine axis, so it has to actually mature. So the hormones are still immature, and it will the uterus and the ovary takes time to get into the adult pattern. So therefore, if anybody in the as soon as they attain the menarche, maybe about 12, 13, 14 years, if they come with delayed periods, then we often tell it is because of hormones and your HPO axis has to mature. So usually by about 17, 18 years, or at least about 2 to 3 years after attaining menarche, they regularize their cycles unless there is some abnormality. But however, we do have young girls, 12, 13 years, who continue to bleed and doesn't fall into the normalizing pattern. So those girls may need treatment. Now coming to the reproductive age group. So that means after they are sexually active till about 45 years, 40, 45 years, this is the period when the cause of bleeding may be so many, but still we have to keep in mind the pregnancy related causes in this time. That is, it could be a miscarriage or it could be an ectopic pregnancy and so many things. Apart from the causes of menstrual bleeding from the uterus, abnormal uterine bleeding, we have to keep in mind also the pregnancy related causes. Now, for women, even in these women as well as, so in these women, the treatment may vary depending on the condition. But then after 40 years, when the person approaches menopause, that is the time actually we are more alert. See, I will tell you what is the definition of menopause. Menopause means when someone does not have a period for a total of 12 months or 1 year. So 1 year, if a person does not have menopause, does not have her periods, then we call it as menopause. And often the 1 or 2 years before the menopause is the period called perimenopause, where the women will be having bleeding once in 2 or 3 months, lasting for about 3-4 days, having little flow, scanty flow and all that. I have had many patients who come to me in this perimenopausal period, maybe 45, 46. Somebody in their house would have told them that you're going to stop your periods and that's why you're having your heavy periods. And many often they neglect it, thinking that they're going to stop their periods and that is why they are having this excessive bleeding, which is a very, very wrong concept. Now, menopause happens because of the declining activity or functions of the ovary, and therefore it follows that the periods also must be less and they should be less frequent. It should not be more frequent, once in 15-20 days. If they're bleeding for about 15-20 days and still keep thinking that it is because they're going to stop their periods, it is wrong. Therefore, anybody in the perimenopausal age, or for that matter even about after 40 or 42 years, if you're having more frequent periods, once in 15 to 20 days, and you're bleeding more, please don't think that it is because you're approaching your menopause. So we are very alert in this age group because we suspect that there could be an increasing effect of estrogen, and which is acting on the lining of the uterus, what I told you as the endometrium, and causing some changes in that, which may later lead to cancer, precancerous conditions of hyperplasia. Okay, so that is why it is very important to investigate the perimenopausal bleeding. And finally, postmenopausal bleeding, that is when someone stopped their periods for 1 whole year and then they resume their periods again, then definitely this calls for investigation. So the abnormal uterine bleeding also is therefore categorized into these different age groups of a woman, that is the adolescent and the reproductive age, perimenopausal and postmenopausal age group. So it's just to for us to keep in mind that the etiology or the cause of bleeding may be different in these age groups. So, irrespective of the cause of abnormal bleeding, most patients may require some basic investigations. They may need some blood investigations, they may need hormonal assessment, and they may need a baseline ultrasound to assess to assess and come to a conclusion as to what could be the cause of bleeding. And finally, the treatment of this condition, therefore, again is dependent on the age at which we are seeing this abnormal menstrual bleeding. So as far as the general principles is, as far as possible, we initially, if there's just one episode of heavy periods in the reproductive age group, we always reassure the patient if all other things are normal. Okay, but however, we do have certain medicines which will control the heavy periods. You need not have experience pain and heavy flow always. So we have something called styptics, which will reduce the degree of flow and also the pain if it is associated with bleeding. Then we have a whole range of hormones that we can use. But always we are very cautious. We weigh the risks and the benefits of using these hormones, and we definitely will use it if it merits. Because many people, many a times when the adolescents come with bleeding, if we are not able to control with the routine medications, we may have to resort to hormones, and naturally the parents are apprehensive that we are starting hormones for this child at a very young age. So in all those conditions, we weigh the benefits and risks of using hormones and go ahead with using it. Then, as I told you, in the reproductive age group, we always keep pregnancy related bleeding in mind while treating, and maybe giving hormones in this age group is okay, because some of them may need even contraception, and many of these contraceptive hormones are also used to regularize the periods and reduce the flow. The contraceptives have their own benefits when it comes to treating abnormal uterine bleeding. Whereas in the perimenopausal age, we are a little more cautious in giving these oral contraceptive pills because they have their own risk for women over 40 who are having hypertension or history of deep vein thrombosis, etc. But then we have other beautiful drugs that can act on these people, but in perimenopausal age group we always do something called endometrial sampling or papillary biopsy to see what is the problem that is causing the perimenopausal bleeding before going ahead with any kind of hormonal therapy. Either could be oral therapy, or more popularly it could be an intrauterine system, that is something like the intrauterine contraceptive device, which has the hormone inside that we will be inserting for these women, and it works very beautifully. And then finally, for postmenopausal women, again we have to investigate the cause and treat according to the cause. So finally, summing up this whole presentation, number one, we need to know what is our normal to define what is abnormal. Secondly, the cause of bleeding can vary depending on the age of the patient, and the treatment of the bleeding is therefore dependent again on the cause of bleeding. And finally, a surgical treatment is not always the answer for any of the bleeding. We can also treat in most of the conditions with medications and something called the intrauterine systems. It is possible to avoid surgery. In this video, I have just given a broad overview of what constitutes abnormal uterine bleeding, and I hope to bring more videos in future addressing each and every of these conditions so that it will help you all. Please let me know your suggestions and your comments, and thank you for watching this video.